championship battle continues its relentless run. Today we start with the first race of the whole weekend at round 3 for the 2020 FIA Formula 3 Championship. They are 5 minutes away from the 5th race of the year at a venue which is always one of the highlights of the calendar, but it is difficult on track. It's not only damp, but as you can see, quite a lot of dirt laid down there after oil on the circuit overnight, after one of the trucks burst a pipe, and this was the cleanup about an hour ago. Last year it was concrete dust down there and bags of soil on the circuit. The track has been swept and they have managed to get it in condition. Michael Massey there surveying that earlier on at the start of the day. But they have cleaned the track, and so the drivers just have the small task then of dealing with very slippery surfaces. It's a drizzly rain, it's a light rain out there. You can see that they are on the soft tyres, they are on the dry tyres, I should say. To the grid we go then for this 5th race of the year. A phenomenal pole in the wet for Alex Smolia, who starts from pole position. Logan Sargent alongside him, his best in Formula 3. Then comes Pourchaire, Vesti, Kalen Williams, a PB for him, ahead of our championship leader, Oscar Piastri, in 6th. Then Sebastian Fernandez next to Richard Verschoor, Ben Fiscau in 9th next to Dennis Hauger. Liam Lawson is 11th next to Ollie Caldwell in 12th position. Lawson a race winner this year. In 13th, we move to Max Futrell, who is next to David Beckman. Beckman, in drier conditions, had been the fastest driver in practice. Couldn't take it forward in qualifying. Then we have Peroni, Schumacher, Malvestiti, Fraga, Fittipaldi, Dunner, Hughes, Doohan, Ahmed, Flörsch, Zendelli, Novalak, Das, Stanek, Nannini, and Alessio Deleda at the back of the field. Didn't like those wet conditions yesterday one bit. Those are the 30 drivers on the grid. It's such a packed field that they're around that final turn. Well, they used to be at Silverstone all those years ago. You're looking at a first-time pole position sitter in Alex Smolia, the Russian driver, doing absolutely brilliantly yesterday. Fast all the way through. The 18-year-old really deserving of that. This is Logan Sargent. He will be a huge threat today for victory.
No more rain is expected in the at least next, let's say, 20 minutes.
So that's Sargent on the radio. And we are building up then to the 5th race of the year. Richard Verschoor starting in 8th position. Of course, that turns into reverse grid for tomorrow. Richard Verschoor will be looking to attack, looking to move forward. He does so on the medium tyre, so they are all on the medium tyre after a difficult day yesterday. And here was the winner a week ago on the Saturday in wet conditions, wetter than we've got today. Frederik Vesti, 4th on the grid, 2nd in the championship, and he's going to be a threat once again. You can see Vesti has 37.5 points in the championship. He's only behind his teammate, the Australian driver Oscar Piastri. Logan Sargent is 3rd in the standings. He's 2nd on the grid and looking to get past everyone. Max Futrell, 14th in the championship. The Renault Academy driver would have been expecting so much better. Can he move forward? He is targeting at the very least 8th place, and say 8th place, it's 10th place now, and reverse grid pole. That's just for Formula 3.
If the race has 5 laps, I'd definitely be putting wet on.
So Oscar Piastri giving us a read of conditions there, and telling us that if the race was only 5 laps, he'd be putting wets on. That shows you that at the start of this race, 22 laps to be exact, they are going to really struggle. And that will be struggling not only with the lack of grip, but the lack of tyre temperature as well. This is Matteo Nannini. He's had a couple of spins, and he across the weekend already, and he is starting old Silverstone style, because of the 30 on the grid, round the final corner almost, next to Alessio Deleda on the back row of the grid. So the top 10 score points. 10th position tomorrow turns into pole position for the second race of the weekend. Slightly fewer points for the second race of the weekend. Today, the same point system as Formula One, apart from a few key differences. 2 points awarded for fastest lap, and 4 points available for pole position. That's been achieved by Alex Smolia, who moves up. And those points will be applied at the end of the day to take him up into the, he will hope, right now he's into the top 10 in the championship with those points applied. He was in the points with a 9th and a 7th in the first round of the year, non-scoring in the second. He's already got 4 points under his belt, and you can see the drops of rain on the camera lens. And this, I mean, the drivers in the last few weeks in F3 are really being tested. Super wet around Spielberg, and they're running offline on the formation lap to give you an idea of how tough this is going to be. That is the corner where all the dirt and the dust went down. Also, turn 3 is where there was a lot of fluid deposited on the racetrack. Checking in with the driver points with Piastri and Vesti, Sargent there. So different conditions, not unrelated, but yesterday it was full wet running that took the Russian driver with his ART to a maiden pole position. In the dry this year, it has looked very good for Prema. They're the red and white cars, if you're new to Formula 3. Last year, Christian Lundgaard in the white and black ARTs, the drivers starting in first and third. ART Christian Lundgaard last year, he's only winning the championship, a pole, a win, and fastest lap. You can see the drivers trying to generate temperature in those medium tyres. They do so at the risk of trying to not drop it on the formation lap. Remember what Piastri told us a few moments ago. If this was a 5-lap race, I'd be on the wet tyre. It is going to be a race to see the flag, but can you get through those opening stages? It is going to be a supreme test of what is a really talented field of drivers. Saw that yesterday. A word for Alex Smolia, though. He said for him it was a perfect session. He found some pace straight away, which is surprising because he didn't enjoy lap 1. He ended up in the wall in wet conditions. He has moved forward from last week to here. ART have a good setup. Here's Richard Verschoor in 8th position, looking to move forward. He's one of 10 drivers who's been on the podium. That's the Prema team on the pit wall, nervously looking on. They know they have a big chance for victory in Logan Sargent. Smolia's never won a Formula 3 race, neither has Logan Sargent. That's Alessio Deleda. Did not enjoy the wet conditions. He's on dry tyres today. This is going to be precarious once again for the 30 in the field. That is ART, and you can see Sebastian Philippe there, the team president, watching on. Are they about to notch a second consecutive victory? It was Paul Chair before. Green flag at the back. It's time for some racing on the Grand Prix weekend. Formula 3 is about to get underway. They move away from the line. Good getaway, pretty even so far from the front row. And Teo Pourchaire moving up now, putting pressure on Sargent. Pourchaire's been squeezed onto the grass. You don't want to go there, and he's, well, it was his teammate in the background, Fernandez, who was squeezed onto the grass. Oh, and contact! Contact between the leading two. Sargent went deep into the corner, and it's chaos at the start with the wet conditions. Cars absolutely everywhere. It was Logan Sargent who lost it in the way in to turn number 1, and then he made contact with our pole sitter once again in the 5th race of the year. Just like we saw in the first race of the year, the drivers at the first turn colliding, and Alex Smolia, after a quite brilliant pole position, finds himself hit, and we have a safety car. Unsurprisingly, the drivers could not find the grip in turn 1, and it is Teo Pourchaire in the lead. There you see Frederick Vesti, a championship contender, eliminated, along with Caleb Williams, who started a brilliant 5th on the grid. They are both out after a really precarious start, which ended in the way that you have to say was a little bit predictable. There was not enough grip out there for those medium slick tyres. No stops in Formula 3, and that was the result.
I have damage, quite bad.
Logan Sargent, driver number 3, reporting that he has damage. There's going to be a lot to pick through here. So lights go out, and it's all tentative. Good getaway for Oscar Piastri immediately. That was good reaction time. Now watch, Sebastian Fernandez is going to get squeezed. He's car number 9. So he's going to get squeezed. He's the car on the grass. Now we look to car number 3. That's Logan Sargent. Breaks the first turn on the inside line, loses it, clips our pole sitter around. He goes. And then Caelan Williams losing it. There was contact at the back there. But the car he collected. So Oscar Piastri got a huge hit from Caelan Williams, the 2 Australians. And Frederick Vesti was the car involved in there as well. And also Ollie Caldwell getting caught up in the blue and red car in the Trident. And everyone did well just to take avoiding action at that point. The photographers in the background getting a few shots. Now on board with Max Hutrell, started this race in 13th, immediately alongside. He's got Hauger in front of him, Lawson on the outside there, going past car number 5. Contact for Lawson. There's the pole sitter heading the wrong way. There's Caelan Williams spinning and collecting Vesti, having hit the other Prema as well. So all 3 Premas involved in contact at the first turn of the race. On board with Richard Verschoor. It's a good reaction time for Oscar Piastri. He's the car directly ahead. Now, watch, we're going to see the spin for Sargent into the pole sitter. Nothing Smolly could do about that. And then, oh, that was close. Nose cone off the car. Verschoor lucky to avoid it. David Beckman further down the order, started in 14th. Got Alex Peroni on the left-hand side, into the braking zone. Anyone on the inside was lucky to get it slowed down at all. You can see that ahead. And somehow they all pick their way through. Oh, Alex Smollier. What a shocker. For the second time this year, ART have a pole sitter eliminated after a first turn accident. And it was glorious yesterday, that pole position. He said it was a hard day, first of all in free practice. And he said if you said he was going to be on pole after free practice, he wouldn't have believed you. If you told him last night you're going to be taken out at turn 1, he would have been sick to his stomach. ART's consolation prize is, for the second race in a row, Teo Pourchaire is the race leader. The safety car is coming in. And the tyre temperatures will be low. You can still see off the racing line, it is very wet. The driver's going to have to be very delicate. Have to find that temperature window. Safety car is in. Bernd Mailander is up and running for the day. Now, can we find our way through with the sun breaking through the clouds? Track temperature at 22 degrees, air temperature at 16 degrees, race leader getting us back underway. Pourchaire is up 2 places, Piastri is up 4, Sargent is down 1 and has reported damage. Looks like he's coming under pressure from Lawson. But remember, it is damp off the racing line. You've got to be super, super confident of a lunge, and that is deep from Richard Verschoor. Maya just about to be able to gather it together, he does so. Peroni going wheel to wheel in the background there with Fittipaldi. Long way round for the Australian driver. Can he make it work? Yes, he can. And Alex Peroni moves up. He is in 10th position now. So everyone taking it fairly sensibly on this opening lap. Lawson thinking about it. He's forced his rival off the racing line. Flat to the floor. It's a lot of grip out there. There is a huge amount of grip off there, off the racing line. Sargent keeps his foot to the floor. Would have been snaking wide. Lawson would have thought he had the position, but back comes Logan Sargent. This is Richard Verschoor trying to improve. Oh, on the curb and very nearly into the car in front. He was racing Max Hutrell ahead. He was in 7th place. And this was a few moments ago. Liam Lawson, race winner already this year. On the inside, and we see the wide moment for Logan Sargent, who returns to the track, and there's grip to be found out there. Teo Pourchaire looking for 2 in a row. 16-year-old leads the championship leader. given the different conditions that we've had this weekend, it is difficult to know who has the outright pace around this circuit. But right now, Pourchaire trying to sprint clear of the DRS. With a damp track surface, slick tyres. It's Pourchaire, Piastri, Sargent, Lawson, then Fernandez, Viscal, and then Futrell. Ben Viscal improving from 9th up to 6th position as they snake their way through turn 3. That is messy stuff between Lirim Zendelli and Jack Doohan. Fighting off the road. Turn number 8, I think it was. Sargent again struggling in this part of the racetrack. Lawson's going to have to go offline, this time avoiding action. Sargent has reported that it feels like it's damage, and he's really struggling as he begins that second sector of the lap. There's a huge queue, and you can see for sure is very, very racy behind. The highest MP Motorsport car is Bent Viscal. This is 8th place Richard Verschoor. Gives you an idea of the spray being generated on the lens there. Verschoor's had a few hairy moments so far. Trying to make progress. Futrell trying to get back into the points. Thought about the opportunistic move. They were lucky not to end their race there. Back to the race leader, Oscar Piastri, putting the pressure on. Got the gap down from 9/10 of a second to half a second now. Closing in. Looking for a second win of the year. Won the first race. Huge lock up there for Fernandez. Another driver. Incredibly lucky. And there's a fire. There's a fire there out of the back of the car. That's Liam Lawson with a failure. Dramatic exit from this race. He was very nearly taken out from Sebastian Fernandez. And in the end, the car has let go. One of our race winners this year is pulling to the side of the road. Liam Lawson is out. Meanwhile, battle for the lead. Action absolutely everywhere right now. Pourchaire on his mirrors. Has to pick the braking line. Safety car deployed. And Teo Pourchaire will not mind that one bit. There's Liam Lawson. Out of the race. The second one of the year. The second round of the year, second race of the second round after contact with Jake Hughes, and then out of this one with a dramatic moment, and would you believe it, even more oil down after the truck broke down and deposited oil all over the road. Might be time to go and get the bags of concrete dust or the bags of soil used earlier on. That is all the way round, turns 1 and 2, and it's slippery enough out there. Jack Doohan we saw with Lirim Zendelli off the road at turn 8 a lap ago. The Australian driver is out. So first of all, Sebastian Fernandez very nearly took them both out. With that, very likely, the oil coming out of the back of the car. And then, look at that. Meanwhile, Viscal and Futrell off the road as well. Where's Ben Viscal? There's, you can see, change of position there. Futrell heading backwards for sure. So they're both going to go wide. There's the lock-up on the oil. Everyone going deep. Fernandez, Viscal, Futrell nearly into the back of him. The car smoking ahead. And Richard Verschoor moving past. Just wonder if Verschoor is... No, he's not giving that place back, so he got past before the safety car was declared. Viscal up 4 places. Verschoor up a couple. Futrell up 6. And the marshals in attendance. Thanks to all the marshals around this circuit. Really appreciate all they do, giving up their time for a brilliant view, but long hours and very, very wet this weekend. So the cars have been told to keep to the right-hand side, turn 1 and 2. So the right-hand side, not the traditional racing line. The car's warned that the fluid out of the back of that high-tech in the Red Bull livery. It's hugely frustrating. 2 DNFs in a row for Liam Lawson. scored points in the first 3 races of the year. And Lawson, Caldwell, Doohan, Smolia, Vesti and Williams having days to forget at the moment, with the added pain of, if you from 11th downwards in Formula 3, the second race, you start where you finish this one. So work to do tomorrow for a rapid bunch of drivers. So oil coming out of the back of the car. First of all, Sebastian Fernandez millimeters away as the red flag has been flying. Once again, on a Saturday for Formula 3, the red flag is flying, this time for oil out of the back of Liam Lawson's car as it expired, caused him his second retirement in a row. The race is suspended, and the cars will line up in the pit lane once again. It's on board with Futrell. Slippery surface from the fluid, very nearly into the back of Ben Viscal. Richard Shaw was able to slow it down, and he was given a view of 3 cars heading off the road in front of him. So race control deciding that it's not sensible to race in these conditions. Marshall's in attendance, and Formula 3 has already been through this. Yesterday's first attempt at qualifying was rained off and was postponed. You can see what it's left there on the circuit. That is all the way into turn 1 and to the middle of turn 2. I don't need to describe it for you, it's clear on the racetrack. So Pourchaire, Piastri, Sargent. Sargent with no pace at all. Unhappy, I think, with the balance of his car. Not even sure if race control investigated that one. So much happened on lap 1. So we've had 7 laps of the 22. We only awarded half points last week. There is the race leader. Race winner last time out. Could be 2 in a row for Théo Pourchaire. Said this was a circuit that he was looking forward to learning. Never been here before. Same applies to Silverstone, then the next round. So it's not particularly a track that he thought was going to suit his driving style, and it's concrete dust time. Plenty of red flags this year, haven't we, across all the sessions? We've had another one. I'm not sure they've got enough concrete dust to deal with all of that. So many marshals on track. Let's hope stocks are high of the concrete dust. So the soil was used overnight, and they've gone back to the traditional concrete dust to mop things up. The incident involving Doohan and Zendelli, that you saw them making contact off the road, which is fairly unusual, that. It took Doohan out of the race. He's part of Caldwell's got back into the race. He was a long way down, but he's not a retirement. Lawson, Doohan, Smolia, Vesti and Williams are. And race control having a look at whether Zendelli needs penalising for the contact. He was 17th in the order when the red flag came out. So it's been an eventful one, to put it mildly. Straight off the line, pole sitter Alex Smolia. Fernandez squeezed to the grass. That's the car on the grass, is Sebastian Fernandez. Caleb Williams putting him on the grass there. Now, car number 3, Logan Sargent, going to lose it on the inside line. The slippery take out the pole sitter and then race leader. Caleb Williams in the bright blue Genza, clipping Oscar Piastri, who did not get taken out. His championship rival, though, you can see there in the red and white car. Vesti eliminated. And that is how Caldwell was caught up. Jack Doohan had contact off the road with the rim Zendelli. Race controller investigating at the moment. That's what it looks like from the back row of the grid, and you're making your start slightly at an angle. This is Matteo Nannini showing us what went on down at turn number 1. past Sophia Flörsch, under braking initially, with Roman Stanek is the next car ahead. There's the pole sitter spun around, avoiding action. Massio knew what to do there. Abandon ship, get off the racing line. And that was the start. And then we had Oscar Piastri putting a lot of pressure on Théo Pourchaire. Then we got to this moment. Fluid out the back of the New Zealander's car. Sebastian Fernandez do well to avoid. Although look at the damage that did to his front right tyre. He was joined for company by Ben Viscau and Max Hutrell. And Lawson spectacularly exiting the race. It's what it looked like on board when you're braking on oil. It's hard mouth stuff, isn't it? For the British driver, Max Hutrell. And race control deciding that it is not worth continuing until things have been sorted. Drivers out of the car, and we have... And there's so much damage there for Zendelli after that contact. Now we got Jack Doohan. So that was one part, and this is Jack Doohan's car. They didn't fare too well either. They both went off the road at turn 8. We caught the aftermath of it, so difficult to see how it unfolded. But the young Australian cutting a disappointed figure there. And Narim Zendelli, very strong in practice. Second in practice in the weekend, but he's not been able to do anything with his pace. Didn't enjoy the wet conditions yesterday, and they were so wet yesterday. Back to the cleanup operation, and it's only half of the first sector to deal with. Once again, so if you weren't with us for the start of the broadcast, a truck broke down last night. A pipe burst on one of the trucks and deposited oil at turn 3 and turn 4. That was the initial cleanup operation. It's the concrete dust festival right now because of a spectacular failure for Liam Lawson to take him out, to nearly take out the 3 cars behind after they struggled on the oil. And that's the state of play on the left-hand side, with positions gained or lost, with Pourchaire gaining 2, Piastri having a good race for his championship right now. Sargent down 1, Fernandez up 3. Fernandez looking for a bit of luck after struggling. He was hit at the first race of the year. In the 5th, ART again losing a pole sitter to a first lap accident. This time today, Alex Smollier. This year so far, very, very entertaining in terms of different winners, in terms of variation. We've had Oscar Piastri win the first race of the year. Liam Lawson won the second. The third, brilliantly controlled in appalling conditions by Frederick Vesti. And then Théo Pourchaire inherited the win after Lawson and Hughes collided. Pourchaire again making use of contact at the front between the 2 cars ahead. And if that's how his championship keeps going, he will be delighted with it. Said he was going to assess how the first few rounds went before maybe updating his goals. He's got 2 very quick teammates alongside him. He's with a brilliant team, such a pedigree ART. Certainly in the GP3 Championship, which used to occupy this spot. This is now FIA Formula 3 on the Grand Prix weekend. And unfortunately suspended on lap 7. After quite a lot of drama and not a lot of racing, you have to say, so far today. It's a great job from all the marshals getting out there. Had to be in very early this morning, preparing. Most of this track right now is either wet in terms of the surface from the water or the oil. It's brushing time. Here we go. We're back. After yesterday's glamour shots of the rain, we bring you today concrete dust. Magic stuff. Hopefully we'll bring you some racing as well once this process is complete. although I'm not entirely sure I'd like to be in Teo Pourchaire's shoes going down to turn 1 and standing on the brakes for the first time. But this is FIA Formula 3. They wouldn't be in the championship without good reason. A lot of talent. Here's a Macau Grand Prix winner to show you that. Richard Verschoor started 8th up to 6th. He's currently gaining points to go up to 5th in the Drivers' Championship. Right now it's a Prema 1-2-3 with Piastri, Vesti and Sargent when we started the day. Then we had Beckman in 4th and Verschoor in 5th, so staying in that 5th position. But he seems to have quite a lot of pace. All the time the track will be drying. The air temperature only 17 degrees though. Teo Pourchaire, last year's German Formula 4 champion, with 258 points, 4 wins and 12 podiums, finding himself up to 3rd with the live points as it stands. I'm not sure he was entirely expecting that. He, as a rookie, and we've got 19 of them in the field, would have been expecting to just learn the circuits, get up to speed, maybe a championship challenge next year. Prema, the team you're looking at right now with the championship leader, Oscar Piastri, hanging on to that championship lead as things stand. Prema would have been expected to run the contenders. Oscar Piastri up to win the title last year with 7 wins to his name. He's already got 1 on the board. It looked likely that he was really in contention for a second. The lap 1, turn 1 incidents are being waved away by race control. They believe that that was just the nature of the track and that anyone could have been caught out. So if Logan Sargent can stay there and we can get past 3/4 distance, it's looking good for another podium for Sargent, who already has 2 to his name. No win yet in Formula 3, but a couple of podiums, both scored this year with the Prema team. Last year he was with Carlin. Here's a driver looking for a maiden podium today. Sebastian Fernandez, pole sitter in the first race of the year, taken out after a pinch at turn 1. Sound familiar? Apparently that's what we do this year in Formula 3. He did well to avoid the contact. Here's Sargent on the radio.
We just had the great news and no further action for lap 1, so we're good.
So Sargent being told he's not going to face a penalty for losing the car on the wet inside line. Just part of the racetrack he was in as well. It wasn't a choice. I think if race control had seen a deliberate late lunge to the inside, they would have taken a different view. They tend to be slightly more lenient at the start of the race. Here's Max Futrell gaining 6 points at the moment, but he'll be hoping to get more than that. Ben Fiscal looking for his first points of the year. He's had a personal best of 11th so far. So this race started with all the drivers going to the grid, debating which tyres to run on. You heard from Oscar Piastri, if this was a 5-lap race, I'd be on the wet tyres. They all went for the slicks in the end. They've only got 1 compound, so that wasn't a choice for them. They're all on the medium. Beautiful race car. The F3 Dallara. So race control cycling through what we have seen so far, but what are we going to see going forward? So the marshals working very hard. They always do, even by turning up at stupid o'clock in the morning. And we appreciate each and every one of them. They are being put to work today. They've already been cleaning up. This is in the pit lane. And Zendelli would have dragged back. So you saw oil at the back of Zendelli's car. He had contact with Jack Doohan. So right now, the big losers from the race, Liam Lawson, in terms of getting involved in his championship. He's had contact in the previous race. He's had a failure in today's race. And also, the driver who will start 28th tomorrow, Alex Smollett, taken out of turn 1. Not his fault, nothing he could do. Just one of those things. And official now, the restart time, 11:05. So we'll get going once again. We've got 27 minutes of the race still to run, unless race control revise that time. So everyone else has to get back in the zone, click shut that visor, and work out where they're going to push. Are they all going to have to go off the racing line? There's a lot of concrete dust down at turn 1. Tail pull chair. I don't envy his position at the start. Difficult to know where the grip is going to be. It doesn't appear that there's going to be much down there. You've either got the wet part of the track that no one's been using and that caused the turn 1 accident, or you've got an absolute sea of concrete dust. So not two great options for our race leader. Looking to make it 2 in a row. No one's managed that this year. Had 4 different winners so far. Logan Sargent been on the back foot. Is Alex Peroni, one of the 10 drivers to stand on a podium this year in Formula 3. Peroni was down 15th. He's got himself up to 9th. He's losing positions in the Live Driver Championship. But Peroni, upbeat guy, great personality. Tail pull chair, just learning this championship, getting used to things. Teddy's racing hero was Sebastian Vettel. I was talking to him before the weekend started. Said he definitely wanted Vettel to stay on the F1 grid. Knowing Vettel will probably be watching the race at this stage. We often see the F1 drivers just check in with the races that lead up to their sessions. Fernando Alonso in the past used to love watching a GP2 start and try and take as many ideas as possible. Enzo Fittipaldi, the grandson of the great 2-time Formula 1 world champion and Indy 500 winner, talked a lot about surname pressure this weekend. It's a blessing because it allows you the avenue into motorsport, but then you've got to constantly have references to an all-time great of Formula 1. He's part of the Ferrari Driver Academy. There's a lot of driver academies associated with Formula 3. As we've had the marshals with bucket stage, and then we've had the sweepers out, and now we're at the blowers stage of this red flag. And we will get going in about, where are we, 7 minutes time. We'll get this race back underway. And every day of this weekend, 40% chance of rain at some point of the day. We've had it earlier on. It was a wet track to start. Now we've added some oil into the mix. First of all with a broken down service truck. And then from this man's teammate, Dennis Hauger. We haven't really touched on Hauger at any point so far. He's down there in 17th in the championship, but Red Bull back driver. And Hauger with a chance of points today. Would be his first in Formula 3 for the Norwegian driver. Looking to get on the board. And that's the great thing is having 30 drivers on the grid. The difficult thing is you can have a superb race and go from the back row to 11th and it's no points. So you've got to get it done in qualifying. That's what our pole sitter did, Alex Smollier, all the way through. Brilliant qualifying session yesterday. Oscar Piastri had a lot of pace in the middle part of that session when it was very wet indeed. Found an improvement of over a second, but then as the track began to dry out, he could not go with the pace of the ART. Fast forward 7 laps in the race, he is well positioned. Interesting. Down there, our eagle eyes in the pit lane, new on one side, old on another. There you go, new Pirelli. New on that corner as well. So unusual stuff from Piastri. A reminder that we will get this race back up and running once again. Your first action of this Hungarian Grand Prix Saturday. Qualifying to come, or course, in Formula One as well as the F2 race. You don't want to miss that later on today. This is going to be tough for the drivers. It is still wet off the racing line. It is drying out. Track temperature is now up to 25 degrees. Air temperature is creeping up to 17. But you can see down in the pit lane, there are still patches where you can find yourself ending your race. Here's Schumacher on the radio.
David, how urgent is your toilet?
8 out of 10.
Anyway, to be honest, if you really want to go to the toilet, the faster you finish this race, the earlier you will go. So that's another motivation.
That's great stuff on the radio for David Schumacher. And the blowers are making their way all the way down the hill. We had 3 hours of filling last week. This is but a scratch for this fantastic broadcast team. We've got a different setup this year to bring you the pictures. Everyone's put in a lot of hours to be able to bring you this delayed Formula 1, Formula 2 and Formula 3 season. Thanks to everyone who's made this possible. I did think going home last night, we are so lucky to have not just Formula 1 up and running, but Formula 2, Formula 3. We've got the Porsches on track as well. To have a full complement of championships at this stage, given the year we've had, remarkable, and that's not by accident. That's down to a lot of hard work at every level. Teams, organisers, logistics, television, everyone's worked so hard to get us to this point. And if we keep having red flags, I'll be able to thank each and every one of them. We are 3 minutes away from getting ourselves back racing once again to start your Saturday with a bit of action. We've already had a fair bit, arguably too much at the start of proceedings today. Want to see some wheel-to-wheel action. Want to see the battle between Piastri and Poultier, the championship leader against the young pretender and the most recent race winner. Poultier was coming under serious threat before we had that safety car deployed. Logan Sargent has reported a bit of damage for that Prema. Fernandez, desperate for a first podium in Formula 3. He's already had a pole this year. He's had a lot of pace this year, has Fernandez. Hasn't been able to convert it. At the minimum, he will want a podium. Ben Viscout looking to score his first points of the year. Richard Verschoor in 6th, looking to maintain 5th in the Drivers' Championship. Max Futrell would have been expecting to be a contender. He's seen his teammate, Liam Lawson, win a race already this year. He is currently on for his best finish of the, well, to equal his best finish of the year, which he scored in the previous race. This one, though, will carry more points. Fittipaldi, again, another driver who's shown good flashes of pace, but not being able to score more than 1 points finish. The 9th place for him, so this would be a personal best. Peroni didn't enjoy the wet. That Campos not working in the wet as well as it has done in the dry. The podium in the first race of the year showed you that, and Hauger as well, looking for a maiden point. Everyone behind, desperate to, say, David Beckman in 13th, desperate to show the pace that he had in practice and vault himself into the points for the first race of the weekend. There's a lot of very, very quick drivers in this field. You'd expect nothing less at this level of motorsport. We are about a minute away then. So here we go. We will get the safety car leaving the pit lane, the train of cars following, and then they will get basically half a lap to assess where it's there is enough of a dry line, where it's grippy, where it's not grippy. Just looking at the track conditions there, there is a dry line developing.
Okay, 3 of the cars in front will have to take a new tyre, mate. So just so you know, there's 2 of the Premas and 1 of the ARCs have all got a new tyre each. So I doubt that tyre's going to be up to temperature come the restart. Why have they done that? The only way they can change it is they prove an accident damage. So they must have had a nick in the tyre or something.
Yeah, you can't... Yeah, well, the radio message said it all. So the mix and match situation for the driver in second place, Oscar Piastri, we saw that earlier on. The mix and match situation between old tyres and new tyres will be because they have shown the personnel down in the pit lane that run this championship and believe that there is damage to the tyre. A flat spot is not enough for that, so that would have to be a structural issue for the tyre. We've got a green light at the end of the pit lane. We've got the sun coming out, and we've got racing at the Hungaroring once again. So behind the safety car we go, and we are back underway. We expect we're going to get at least one full lap behind the safety car to allow the drivers to assess the conditions down there. And if it's difficult at turn 1, and it is, look at this at turn 2. I'm not sure we'll be using the inside line there. So I think we might get another lap. Race control, they've erred on the sensible side so far. Did the right thing by abandoning things with all that oil down, because you just have cars off the road. You saw how close with the onboard of Futrail, how close Futrail was to not only hitting cars around, hitting the wall. It was far too dangerous to carry on. They did the right thing throwing the red flag. I think race control deserve a lot of praise for the way they've handled some difficult conditions in the last week or so. So from one angle, it looks great. Looks like it's brightening up. From the other angle, looks like it might be umbrella time. So this is the driest track that Formula 3 has dealt with it being rubbered in. So it had all the rubber, all the running. Of course, that rain washes it away. So the track will be in a green state, in a different state to the one that they'd be used to. Any of the returnees would have been used to a much grippier track at this stage. It is usually incredibly warm track temperatures, and everyone is having a hot and sweaty weekend. The Formula 3 paddock is situated to the right of this camera here, behind the Formula 1 paddock, and it's on a tarmac apron. So it always seems to be one of the warmest of the year. Here's Liam Lawson. It's a great pace this year, Liam Lawson. Second race in a row. He will not see the flag. Racing for the lead 1 week ago. So 15 to go. And as suspected, we'll get another lap for the drivers to assess. And well, they're used to spray at this stage of the weekend, but that is definitely going to be avoided at all costs down to turn 1. But be interesting if we can stay on ball with Richard Verschoor through here, because he's going to just see how much spray there is when they go through turn 2 from the concrete. So they're staying well away. Basically eliminates, though, turn 2 as an overtaking opportunity. No one is going to sensibly risk one to the inside there. So that could be advantage Théo Pourchaire as a result. The safety car is ending at the end of this lap. They've given them a reconnaissance lap. Here's the driver you're on board.
I feel like I'm losing the steering rack feels.
And you do not want your steering rack feeling like that. It's not been an easy start to the year for Max Futrail. He would want to go on the attack here. So Bernd Mailander, another lap at the front of the field. It's been completed. He will duck back in. Théo Pourchaire, what's he got in these conditions? Up against a driver who has already gained 4 places today, looking to gain a 5th, become our first double winner of the year, and solidify his championship advantage with his nearest rival at the start of the day eliminated at turn number 1 and starting tomorrow's race in 29th position. Could be a telling weekend around the circuit. Last year, our reigning champion, Robert Schwartzman, now a race winner in Formula 2, was having contact around here. Looked like his grip on the championship was disappearing. What a foundation from the opening triple header rounds to start the year. This could be for Oscar Piastri, but do not count out Théo Pourchaire. Can Logan Sargent do anything about the 2 ahead, or is he still suffering from damage? They brought out the safety car on lap 1 when he spun and made contact with the race leader. Foot to the floor, back to racing conditions. You've waited for it, I've waited for it. Can't wait to see what happens here as we cut the beam once again and go on to lap number 9 with Théo Pourchaire leading Oscar Piastri away. Very close indeed for the race leaders. No move able that time. Peroni's trying to go to the inside of Futrell. Very close indeed between the two MP Motorsport cars. Viscal there, and we're testing the concrete dust immediately. So Viscal, does he have the position for the moment? He does. He's managed to keep Richard Verschoor behind. Fittipaldi's trying to go around the outside. Can he make that move stick? Well, he can go past not just one, past two. Unbelievable pace from Fittipaldi, who went round Futrell and Peroni. Mega stuff to improve up to 7th place. Meanwhile, looking very, very tight at the front between Pourchaire and Piastri. Remember, Futrell was talking about warm-up of the tyres. There are 2 new tyres on the Prema. And they changed under the red flag. So super stuff for Fittipaldi. Fittipaldi, who had 2 cars in front, on board with Futrell. So first of all, Enzo Fittipaldi, part of the Ferrari Driver Academy, round 1. And then just plant the foot and find out. And up 2 places. Fantastic confidence, fantastic tyre temperature as well, you'd imagine, for him to be that confident early on. He's up 12 positions. Oh, and going past Richard Verschoor. Richard Verschoor gets past his teammate. He is now up to 5th. So Richard Verschoor, who has been battling since the very start, past Ben Viscal, and Viscal looking for a return to the points. Over the line goes Pourchaire. Race control. Oh no! Fittipaldi has a drive-through penalty. After all these heroics, after that sensational move, he went through the fast lane under the restart, and he has been given a drive-through penalty to leave him disconsolate and to ruin his chance of points today. Further at the back, that's going to be a wide moment for Schumacher. David Schumacher off the road and rejoining. This was Richard Verschoor. Ben Viscal locking a brake, turn 12. Richard Verschoor finally passed after putting the pressure on all the way around the 4.3 kilometers of this circuit, and he gets the move done. We've got a 5-second time penalty for Caldwell, and multiple safety car infringements, stop-go penalty. Jake Hughes there. So plenty of penalties being dished out by race control for drivers not following procedure, either under the safety car. Nannini and Stanek are under investigation for more than 10 car lengths distance during a safety car. There's Ollie Caldwell's penalty. They're rolling in. Right now, Pourchaire trying to break that 1-second barrier, has done so. Penalty for speeding in the pit lane there. We go across the line once more. That's a good lap from Théo Pourchaire to try and break clear of Piastri. In the background there, you can see Hauger now up to 9th position. Max Futrell down to 8th. Under investigation, Matteo Nannini. That 10 car lengths that I told you about a second ago. So not going to plan for plenty of drivers today. And now a 1.4-second advantage from Théo Pourchaire. This is the safety car restart. That's the 10 lengths rule. Seem to remember Sebastian Vettel falling foul of that in the past. That rule applies in Formula 1, Formula 2 and Formula 3. Race control have more for us. This time just DRS. Plenty of penalties. Drive-through penalty for Fittipaldi, 10-second stop-go penalty for Hughes, a 5-second time penalty for Caldwell, and an investigation for Nannini and Stanek for that replay that you just saw, not being 10 car lengths away. Half distance. Hauger looking to improve. He's already on for his first points of the year. He's on for a front row start tomorrow if he stays where he is, but he's looking to improve, and this is the reason why Futrell on the grass. Remember, he has already reported that he's not happy with the steering on his car. Back to the race leader, ART winners of this race. Oh, Fernandez nearly into the pit wall, nearly dropping it off the final curve, and he gathered it together. He's using the DRS, and his heartbeat will have gone through the roof there. Fernandez on the grass at the start. Here's Hauger to the inside and getting past Max Futrell. That is now 8th place for the Norwegian driver. So Hauger up to 8th, Futrell down to 9th. Novalak, one of 10 drivers to the podium this year. This was nearly the end of the race. Oh, catches it in the end. Spanish driver. Sebastian Fernandez, Richard Verschoor. He's already come very, very close to hitting a car in the end. Fernandez gathered it together. Verschoor had speed all the way through today. You can see the track is dried out now. The AstroTurf takes far longer. 2.4 seconds. Making a break for it. Teo Pourchaire with the fastest lap of the race at the moment. Took 15 points for the win last week, looking for 25, and if you add the 2 fastest lap at the moment, looking good for the young Frenchman.
Something really wrong with the steering.
Okay, something isn't getting worse.
It's hard to drive, man.
That'd be a yes then. You feel for Max Futrell, it's not going to plan this year. Heavy steering, you'd suspect. Just watching on board. Meanwhile, further forward, Sebastian Fernandez. You would assume a slightly less dramatic moment through the final corner. Drive-through penalty for Roman Stanek. He was under investigation along with Nannini. You can see the dirt off line there. It was the first clean-up operation the marshals had to get to grips with. So 3 seconds Pourchaire now has on Oscar Piastri. Piastri with that old and new set of tyres. Three seconds is a huge margin, considering where we are. We've not had that many laps since we restarted behind the safety car. Fernandez desperately pushing here, looking for that podium. Started fourth, still fourth. Quite a lot of drama along the way. Very nearly into the back of Liam Lawson. On the grass, up through the gears at the start of the race. Very nearly dropping it at the exit of turn 14. It's never boring if you're Sebastian Fernandez. I think he'd quite like a glug of the champagne and get that first podium under your belt. It always provides more confidence for the driver. Psychologically, you've been there, you've done it, you know you can do it again. Bent Viscal chancing a couple of wheels there on the wet AstroTurf. The drivers peel away from the traditional racing line and break on the inside, in the middle rather. So is Piastri hanging on, or does he have no answer? Is he waiting to launch later on? Further back, we're looking now to the lower reaches of the order, well, the middle of the order. Hauger, Futrell, and then Novalak, Dunner, and Beckman. Here is Futrell with that steering problem, trying to hang on to points today. Currently in 9th, he's got Novalak behind in the blue Carlin. Then Dunner, the third of the orange MP Motorsport cars, and then Beckman, with all of his pace earlier in the weekend, right now reduced to the final battle for the point. And Malvestiti is the driver that's also part of this train of cars, currently in 13th position. Poor old Fittipaldi, who had been running in 7th place and on for a best ever result in Formula 3. Sadly, with the pit lane infringement, and has dropped down to 22nd. Teo Pourchaire absolutely seizing it right now. Here is your race leader, all on his own. Third on the grid yesterday in wet conditions. Just see if Fernandez can keep Verschoor behind. Oh, Verschoor's risking it to the inside. Late braking move, and one that rewards him with 4th. Really nice stuff from Richard Verschoor there. He's made his mind up, hasn't he? that he was going to make that move. He found his way past. David Beckman's improved up to 11th. Past Lucas Dunner whilst all that was going on. This was 4th place being contested though. Fernandez defended, but didn't defend enough. So Fernandez slipping back to 5th place. And Fiscal is the driver now closing in. And Alex Peroni in the orange Campos closing in as well. Looking, Peroni this is, for his 2nd points finish of the year. And he started the race on the podium, 2nd round of the year, both times in 11th place. Only the top 10 score points in both races. So Fernandez not enjoying things, all over the curbs again. His teammate really is 5.3 seconds in the lead as we tick down the laps now. Poor chair. Earlier on, before the safety car restart, we saw Piastri easily cruising up to the back of him. It seemed like only a matter of time. Ben Fiscal trying to improve up to 5th place. And he too has the inside line. He's going to move up to 5th. So Fiscal having his best day for a long while. And Peroni will want to follow him past as well. Ben Fiscal last year, only 1 points finish in the entire season. Funnily enough, 5th place. He's on for it again. Fernandez is not enjoying things on a dry surface, finding himself all over the curbs, off the road, very nearly dropping it at the final corner. It is moving a little bit too quickly for him at the moment, but he'll have a chance to gather, have a chance to get his head back in it, and needs to hang on. He's still on for his best result. Fernandez in 6th position for the time being. This is Beckman. Oh my word, he's not going to go around the outside, is he? He is, you know, David Beckman. Fantastic stuff. Beckman now up to 10th place, but had the momentum. It's a damp track offline in some places. You can see that from the onboard camera. Foot to the floor. Clement Novalak ahead, 17 places made up. It's been that sort of race. Brilliant move. Well done, David Beckman. Got 1 point to show for his efforts all weekend long. So what contrast this is. Logan Sargent reporting trouble early on. Oscar Piastri, before the safety car came out, all over the back of Teo Pourchaire. And now, with DRS, Logan Sargent trying to notch a 2nd place of the season. Piastri not enjoying things out there, struggled with tyre wear in the first race of the year. Could that have returned? Or is it just going to be a straight mistake? Oh, over the... just like Fernandez, not as dramatic. Was able to finesse his way back to the racetrack. So Teo Pourchaire checked out. Don't worry about it. 6.1 seconds. Bring it home. The Prema pair. Well, we saw the Premas collide last year a couple of times in Formula 3. They'll be looking to avoid that at the moment. It's a balancing act, though, between finding the ultimate pace and staying away from that AstroTurf. Another time penalty, this time for Matteo Nannini. That was speeding in the pit lane. Piastri will know that moments like this define a championship season. Can you keep a rival behind? He's having a good day. One of his nearest rival was eliminated on turn 1. He's got a teammate behind who was very nearly eliminated himself at turn 1 when he lost it on that part of the racetrack back when it was a lot damper and crashed into the pole sitter. Race control took no action. So Logan Sargent now with the opportunity to move into 2nd place in the championship. Past his teammate Vesti, who is one of the retirements, along with Zendelli, Lawson, Doohan Smollier and Williams, the other drivers, along with Vesti, who will not see the flag today. So we look back to the battle with Fernandez, and then Hauger, and then Cloron Novalak. He has absolutely loved today. 17 positions gained, lining up position number 18. Outrageous stuff right now for the Carlin driver. It's clouded over once again. Track temperature up to 26 degrees. The air temperature not altering though. Maybe the weather moving back in. Pourchaire will be saying hard no to that. I've got this race won as long as I can complete the final few tours. 8.5 seconds, his advantage. Logan Sargent nearly taking advantage of that error from Piastri, but Piastri's had a good lap to just try and eke out that gap. For sure, being fourth on a good day, it appears, for MP Motorsport. Look at the speed, look at the confidence that Novalak has coming out of that 14th and final corner. He's got a nice toe to go with it, although DRS for Hauger will help him defend. He will feel the need to defend into turn one. Oh, that's a lock-up. Does he open the door? No, he's just about managed to slow it down, but look at the incentive he's given to Novalak behind. Is he going to choose to go the long way round? He will. He's going to tough it out. I think it's better off. I was willing him on there. We've already seen one incredible move around the outside for Enzo Fittipaldi today, taking two cars in that part of the racetrack. We've also seen an amazing move around the outside, albeit on a car that's got a problem in Max Futrell. He's dropped out of the points, unfortunately, for him. It does appear to be where they're moving in. Change the conditions again, but I'm not sure it's going to reach us before the end of the race. Race control deleting lap times. Pourchaire moving clear early on. Fantastic sound of these cars. Roaring past the camera once again. So two separate battles here. Understandably, we're focusing on the one involving Fernandez, Peroni, Hauger, the driver you're looking at right now. Now you are looking at the Carlin of Novalak. Novalak really does enjoy this final sector. Novalak on the podium already this year. Hauger on for his best finish of the season and first points as well. And Beckman, the last of the point scorers, in 10th place. There's a lock-up further ahead. That'll be Ben Viscal or Richard Verschoor. Managed to make the corner. Fernandez closing in on a personal best. It's not the podium he was dreaming of a few laps ago. Hasn't had the pace for that today, but knows that he's got to keep it on the black stuff. Got to avoid running off the road, as he has done a couple of times. The exit of turn 3 there. It's not too far away now. The MP cars, so much pace from them. Closing in on the Premers ahead. Last time around, Logan Sargent 138.9, 138.6 for Richard Verschoor. Needs the Premers to drop off the cliff a little bit more. Bent Viscal pushing his teammate all the way. Remember, Bent Viscal's error at turn 12 opened the door for Verschoor to claim what looks to be 4th. Those tyres do not appear to be in great condition. I think that applies to everyone in this train of cars that begins with second place Oscar Piastri. Renault backed, then Logan Sargent, Verschoor and Viscal. Teo Pourchaire, not going to believe this, with a 10-second advantage. Let's just see if Viscal can shape for a move on Verschoor, penultimate lap of the race. Trying to go around the outside, but there's concrete dust there. Not the grip that he wants. Foot back to the floor. Give it another go. Never really on. So on Instagram Live, having a chat with Teo Pourchaire earlier in the week, someone said, I can't believe this, 16-year-old is winning on the F1 weekend, and I'm thinking about whether I should have pasta for lunch. We both agreed the person who asked the question should be having pasta for lunch. He can help you with your menu choices, he can lead you races, and he can make you feel very, very old indeed, Théo Pourchaire. He is about to double up if he can get round one more time. So it's teammates. We've seen the Premers very close together. Second and third looks like they have enough to disappear now. Looks like Richard Verschoor is falling into the grasp of Ben Fiscal, and the team will be pretty clear. Don't muck around here. No nonsense. Not this late in the day. Not when the team points are this good. Not when you've both acquitted yourself brilliantly on a day where it was very easy at the start of the race to throw it all away. We're on the final lap of the race. It's been one of the longer Formula 3 occasions that you'll see. We had a safety car after lap number 1, after contact between first and second. That promoted a certain Théo Pourchaire to the lead of the race. He looked under serious threat earlier on, the sort of threat right now that Fiscal's trying to put on his teammate Richard Verschoor as they go for 4th place. That's what they're battling over on the final lap. Okay, that's DRS zone number 1. It continues now. Here we go. Could be the last opportunity coming the way of Fiscal. We might know it. Will he tough it out around the outside? There's a lock up there for Verschoor. Oh, he's thinking about it. He's putting the nose in the way. He's got the place. Well positioned there for Ben Fiscal, and that's going to be his best ever result in Formula 3 if he can just keep his teammate behind. That was the last realistic opportunity he had to get past, and he's done it. Can he keep his teammate in the rear-view mirror? That was his last chance, and he's taken it. So I think that one is sorted between the MP Motorsport pair. I think Fiscal has judged the rubber situation perfectly. Another driver who's done that out front. This is the second and third, but Théo Pourchaire is not too far away now from the final corner. Here he is, to become our first repeat winner of the year. Théo Pourchaire dominates in Hungary, a superb performance, and he's won 2 races in a row at the age of 16. Extraordinary stuff. He has taken another Formula 3 win and dominated from Oscar Piastri, who takes good points for his championship charge. Logan Sargent will be on the podium once again, and ART, winners last year with Christian Lundgaard, winners this year with Théo Pourchaire. 4th and 5th for Fiscal and Verschoor. Fernandez, absolutely brilliant in 6th place for his. He was all over the road. He didn't have the pace of his teammate, but he got his best result.
Yes, mec, bien joué. Bravo, bravo. Yes, yes, wow, yes. Merci les gars, merci. La voiture est incroyable. La voiture, elle était incroyable.
That translates into any language. Brilliant stuff. Well done, Théo Pourchaire. Up to 3rd in the Drivers' Championship. Well done to his teammate Fernandez, who got his best result in Formula 3 in 6th. Peroni back in the points in 7th. Hauger, his first points in Formula 3. Clement Novalak, unbelievable performance for him. 17 positions gained. 17 positions gained in that race, and the final point for David Beckman. But it's Théo Pourchaire's day. Looked under threat early on, but when we got to the restart, when we got back underway, when we had the dry track, he was not going to be caught. Look at this stuff from Ben Fiscal. It's his best result, 4th place in Formula 3. It's only his 2nd points finish in the championship. He was with us for every single race last year. And over the line we go. Not much between them. Quite a lot of tyre degradation, considering that we did not run for all the racing laps there. Look at that. More work for the marshals, as if they haven't done enough for us today. But for Pourchaire, last year's German Formula 4 champion, that winning feeling now becoming very familiar, and he, along with his expert team, have looked after the tyres brilliantly. You saw 2 new tyres for Oscar Piastri at the start. Piastri in the first phase of the race, looking great when the track was slightly damp. When it fully dried out, no one was catching this man. Winner of the second race with a fewer points last Sunday, 2 in a row, and the main race of the weekend, the one that they qualify for, giving out the main points, going the way of Théo Pourchaire after 22 rather entertaining laps. On Thursday, the driver in first place told me, I'll just assess whether I can push for wins or whether it will be podiums and just points. Well, chuck all of that out. Welcome to championship contention. Our first repeat winner of the year, Théo Pourchaire, making us all feel old, but we're all tipping our hats to the first repeat winner of the year. He's on the car again, and he's heading to the top step, letting all the emotion out. The French teenager has done it again, and he is so overwhelmed with that one. Great stuff. Logan Sargent, well done to him. You can just see him walking in. Knows that, well, the body language tells a story, but it's another podium for him. He's now second in the championship. And that championship lead gets bigger for Oscar Piastri. Didn't have the pace to challenge for victory today in the final stages, but excellent stuff for his championship challenge. Time to show you the race result, because there were quite a difference compared to where we qualified. Théo Pourchaire, brilliant result for him, winning in the end by 11.9 seconds. Oscar Piastri just bringing it home ahead of his teammate Logan Sargent. They're going to be your podium finishers in a moment's time. Well done to Ben Fiscow, a personal best in Formula 3 for him. Richard Verschoor getting a good result in 5th place as well. Sebastian Fernandez, another personal best for him. Back into the points for Alex Peroni, and first points of the year for Dennis Hauger. Novalak improving 17 positions up to 9th place. Beckman with the final point. Then Futrell with steering trouble. We heard that a couple of times on the radio. Dunner in 12th. Then Malvestiti, Ahmed, Fraga, Schumacher, Das, Sophia Flörsch in 18th. Enzo Fittipaldi, one of the moves of the race, but in the end the penalty cost him out of the points down in 19th. Alessio De Leda was 20th. Being investigated by race control. Ollie Caldwell had a penalty, as did Nannini and Stanek and Hughes, which is why they're 21st, 22nd, 23rd and 24th. The retirement, Zendelli, Lawson, Doohan, Smollier, our pole sitter, feel bad for him. Vesti, who was second in the championship, nothing he could really do at the start. And Calum Williams, who had started in 5th. Time to hand you over to Bob. Time to hand you over to the podium, where we'll welcome Sargent, Piastri and Théo Pourchaire.
Logan Sargent, his third podium of the season so far in 5 races. In second place, Oscar Piastri from Australia, a winner in Austria. And the winner, his second consecutive victory for Théo Pourchaire, the youngest driver in the field, his second consecutive win. Congratulations to Théo Pourchaire from Grasse in France, and in his honour, the national anthem of France. also to ART Grand Prix, represented by mechanic Julien Holtz. Félicitations, messieurs. Well done. And second place, Oscar Piastri from Australia. As I say, a winner in Austria. And in third place, Logan Sargent from the USA. His third podium. Congratulations, gentlemen. And now, at your feet, is the champagne!
He might not be old enough to drink it, but he's old enough to spray it, and he's got the talent to boot. The driver board on the 20th of August 2003 has stood on the top step for 2 races in a row. This time, taking home the major points of the weekend to move up to 3rd in the championship. Oscar Piastri still leads, though. He leads from Logan Sargent. You could be looking at the championship battle. Instead, you are looking at one very, very happy Frenchman. Well, a thrilling race. Thank you to the marshals. Thank you to everyone who was able to put that race together. Thank you for everything that we've seen out there. A brilliant race. Thank you for your company. We will join you again tomorrow when Formula 3 returns for race 2.
Sky Sports F1. Feel it all.